The French angle, the notes on the England team by the French commentary team, and I wonder, will we see those Underwoods, Guscott, Carling and co running in tries in what I hope will be an open, expansive game, but a great contest, and many across the channel. The French team haven't actually, for the first time in history, crossed over the channel to get here. They actually came underneath it on the shuttle. Bill Beaumont, 6 times he played against France, is alongside me. He knows all about the Gallic flair and the challenge at Twickenham. How do you see, Bill, the balance of strength today?
Well, I see England having the slight edge in the front 5 forwards, that they did extremely well against the Irish. They mopped up possession from the line-out. I think we're a better England are a better defensive unit in the back row, whereby the French are better with the ball in the hands. So it's a conflict of styles there. But I think playing at Twickenham, the confidence high. I think the new style of rugby that Jack Rowell is trying to get this England team to play, and certainly I think England can look forward to the game with confidence. But the crucial thing is that against France, as Mickey Skinner mentioned, you've got to make your first time tackles. You have to get them on the ground early doors. You can't afford to let them gaining confidence moving the ball around.
Jack Rowell there, the England team manager, who admitted to me just now a few butterflies in the stomach, and I'm sure for everyone here a great sense of anticipation. This great cathedral of the game, almost complete. It will be by October, a full 75,000 seated, to make it one of the great sports stadiums of the world. And of course above us the new West Stand rises high in the great horseshoe shape to join with the north and the east. And I'm delighted that the weather's so good. Clearly one didn't want the conditions of Dublin to spoil what promises to be an epic encounter with remarkable talent behind both scrums, running flair aplenty. And I sense that France, Bill, may have actually, they've made the 2 changes. England, of course, keeping the same side, but the 2 changes France have made, bringing in the real sprinter Philippe Bernard-Salle, and perhaps more significantly Olivier Brouzet in the second row for Mel, actually improve their team possibilities.
Well, I know a bit more about Brouzet than I do about Bernard-Salle on the wing, that certainly Brouzet, that he is a far better line-out jumper than Merle, who's a poor line-out jumper, as we see Philippe Saint-André about to lead his team down to the pitch. But I think they will actually strengthen the French team.
Here are the French in their new look World Cup strip, led out by Philippe Saint-André. A winning captain. He's had 5 out of 6 wins. They call him Le Goré, the piglet, and I wonder if he's the piglet for England. Rob Andrew with the kicking key in his hand. How significant will his place kicking form be? It's been quite remarkably good of late. And of course at international level it can so often be the determining factor. Rob Andrew in his 63rd international, his 11th time against France, seeded only by Rory Underwood for England with 13. And for France, that remarkable centre, Philippe Saint-André, his 14th time against England in a career of 104 internationals. I vow to thee, my country, by the band of the Coldstream Guards, as the players line up on the halfway line. And there you can see a man making his first refereeing appearance at Twickenham, Ken McCartney of the Scotland Rugby Football Union. Ken McCartney, a great winger with Hoyt. 5 times he was in the side as wing three-quarter when they won the Scottish Championship, and he has been here before, playing in the 7s. The French national anthem, La Marseillaise. The scene is set, and England's side unchanged. In the knowledge, of course, that Twickenham is no longer an impregnable fortress, but only Carling, Underwood, Rory, Andrews, Moore and Richards have ever been on the losing side against France. Here, the power outside, the leadership of a captain who's won 34 of 45 internationals, and a pack of forwards that Jack Rowell and England reckon could take on the world. France with those two changes I mentioned. Philippe Bernard-Salle for the injured Emile Ntamack, and the powerful 19-stone figure of Olivier Brouzet at number 4 in the second row. Beside those two changes from the team that beat Wales. Perfect conditions. Well, Kenny McCartney's been a firefighter for 23 years up in the borders of Scotland, and greatly looking forward to his first Twickenham International, his 7th in all, and a man who has earned great respect amongst the players. A nice relaxed attitude, a chat with Rob Andrew, Kenny McCartney of Hoyk, touch judges Jim Fleming and Ed Murray, also from the Scottish Union. Olivier Roumat, a key man for sure in this counter in the second row with Brouzet, and the crowd encouraging England, who won the toss and take the kick-off through Rob Andrew. Bright sunshine, and first ball for Bracken. Andrew had to hurry to get that one in, dropping just outside the 22. Knocked off Roumat, picked up by Sadolny, France's fullback. Christophe Delot, quite an enigmatic figure at fly half for France, who made his Five Nations debut 2 weeks ago, but was in the successful team in victory over New Zealand. Key man, I suggest, Bill, alongside Acosta Berry, the new pairing.
That's right, Delot, he impressed me immensely in the game against Wales, and he did extremely well there. And he certainly looks a very laid-back character, that he just stroked that ball away with ease.
First line out. Johnson, Bayfield, Brouzet, Roumat, and the options at the back of the line as well. England's throw through Brian Moore. Rodber, Bracken away, almost intercepted by Caban, who was on hand, but advantage played. England ball, Rodber again. Powerful French tackling. And it's on England's 10-metre line. Tremendous anticipation by Caban, who almost took the interception. Bracken with the dummy feed. There's Tim Rodber, number 6. France, though, with good weight. But England break off on the fringe and now set it back. Loose pass from Bracken, picked up by Carling. That's a good ball. Sadolny could only watch it. 53rd cap, and England's most successful captain of all time. France throw. They've Roumat in the middle. They've moved Benazzi up near the front. Acosta Berry. And then Jean-Luc Sadolny to clear. Effective and clean cut.
Nice comfortable win there by the Benazzi, moving up from the back row position to the front of the line out. That he's played a lot of his rugby in the second row, and that will give France a bit of an edge.
Brian Moore, part of the same front row that played throughout the International Championship last year. That's the halfway line. Martin Johnson, cleanly taken. England drive, but mostly lateral movement. Off goes Brian Moore to take it over the gain line, but it was forward with the ball on the deck, and France will get the put in.
Brian Moore there, a little isolated, that he would have hoped that one of his other forwards would have come with him, because he broke off the side of the maul, and really he needed a back row forward with him there.
Key battle in the prospect on this near side of Bogo, Benazet. England just a slight advantage in weight. Set up by Benetton. J-Lo, mismove straight to Sella. Full back Sadorni, his pace. But a poor pass, and he should have actually taken it. Bernard Saal. Knock on, advantage England. Referee allows it to continue. Bracken away. Andrew, Juscut looks for a gap. Pass through. Andrew in support. Bracken now. The marking's tight. Good work by Gonzalez. But offside were France. And France set back 10 metres. For touch, Rob Andrew. Secure.
Well, certainly both sides looking as though they want to move the ball there, and really it wasn't a great pass to Bernard Silas on the right wing for France there, that just slightly behind him. If he'd taken it, then England could well have been in trouble, but there on the counter-attack, England willing to run the ball, so it augurs well for a thrilling encounter.
Terrific pace in both sets of three-quarters. And I think that injection of Sadorni, the fullback, showed the extra vitesse that can come back from the base. Rugby goes up, loose. Moore can't hold. Gonzalez shadows it into touch. Jean-Michel Gonzalez took over from Tordo, quite a controversial figure. Rajesh Califano, right and left. And a blood injury for Gonzalez, which of course has to be seen to immediately, and referee McCartney saying off for attention. Temporary replacements of course allowed. It'll be Marc de Rougemont who would come on. He's racing down the steps below us, and this would be a first cap for the man from Toulon. Here he comes, wearing 21.
The crowd are getting slightly agitated, but unlike any other injury, if there's an injury to a front row forward, then you have to bring the replacement on immediately.
Welcomed on by Ken McCartney. Made his A debut against England last year, de Rougemont, and has impressed hugely on tour in New Zealand, but uncapped till now. England in control in the set piece. Dean Richards keeps it at the back, but it turns, and England will get the foot in again. Encouraging the surge that still.
Yes, and I've noticed that the French back row, who detached from the previous scrum, have immediately got in there.
Up from Richards, Rodber. Richards again, the link to Bracken. Andrew, mismove. Well taken by Mike Catt. Across comes Sadorni. Out left is Rory Underwood. Lovely pick up by Mike Catt there. The man keeping his place after coming in for Paul Hull. That's the sign of nerve. Some of the passing not quite as accurate and not dropping in front of the player as one would wish. But England have made good ground. And France have the throw. The return of Gonzalez. So a brief appearance for de Rougemont.
Not bad getting your first cap, to be on for about a minute and then going off again.
Well, he can rest happily on his newfound achievement. Brief though it may have been. Meanwhile, pressure within the French 22. Roumar can't hold, Richards can. 10 metres out. They're trying to drive up straight to the line, and it's going well. Within 5 metres now. Still there. The back row roll it off. It's with Ben Clark. Richards feeds. Bracken now. Andrew. Little chip through for the England midfield to chase, but Akosaberi is there first. They hadn't encroached quite far enough to make that a telling blow by Andrew, but it was a neat idea.
Good morning technique, and the flat line by the French defence, but I think really in hindsight that Rob Andrew might have been thinking he could have well been better keeping the ball in the hand then.
Andrew from the restart dropout. Benazet. Secure catch by the prop. Costa-Berry trying to create with Saint-André, his captain, and this is good play. Looked like a knock-on by Caban. Advantage play to England. Bogle with the pickup. Bracken. Carling. Makes the half break onto Clark. That's good driving. The tackle by Califano, but it's Bracken again. Now Tony Underwood, taken on by Bayfield. The pick-up by Rodver. This is great play by the England forward, and support now from the back to Andrew. Bracken, long feed to Carling. Clark wide out. Clark on the drive. Saint-André with the tackle. England deep in the French 22 again, and a penalty with France offside earlier. No advantage forthcoming, so they'll settle for the penalty about 15 metres from the French goal line. But a great passage of play by England.
Tremendous play there, Nigel. The thing that impressed me about it was the ball retention, both forwards and backs, that we see it here, that sort of, again, Rob Andrew, options, cut down outside, comes back inside. The long pass by Kieran Bracken, and really, I think, when Will Carling had this, he was probably looking up to see Rory Underwood, but he sees Ben Clark out there covering for him. Good defence by the French, but the referee had played advantage and came back to the original French, and that's why Rob Andrews got the penalty on the far side of the field.
There's attention for Benazet meanwhile, whilst Rob Andrews prepares the penalty goal attempt. All 18 points against France in Paris last year. That remarkable 30-point effort recently against Canada. This to open the scoring. You heard the groans of disappointment as after just coming up to 11 minutes, Rob Andrews' kick went well left of the post. That's how it stands after the first 11 minutes of the game. It's been called the decider of this year's Five Nations. That's possibly a bit premature, but it has the look of it. Andrew to Cat. Straight down the middle, deep into the 22. Sadoni sensibly and safely calls the mark. Jean-Luc Sadoni from Colomiers on the outskirts of Paris. Good clearance.
Yeah, quite an easy take there for Sadoni. It's nice for a full-back to get an easy ball like that, just to settle himself into the game, and certainly he caught it well, marked it, and put it back with a bit of interest.
England's throw just beyond the halfway line in France's half. Brian Moore. Bayfield, but he didn't hold it. Not that it's easy ball for France either. Costa-Berry. J-Lo. Richards not holding it cleanly. In goes Underwood, but it was a knock-on first by France.
Yes, Philippe Sella playing over 100 times for France there, going up for the high ball. One of the best players in the world at collecting high kicks like that.
Newcomer Kieran Bracken, he's just his 6th international, replacing Gary Morris. Andrew. Rory Underwood up there. Anyone's ball at that point. But it's England who repossess. Bogle on the charge. Bracken. Nice pick up by Andrew, a difficult pass. Rodver typically in support. Bracken again. Shoots it away to Guscott. Cat is unable to cling to it. France foraging, but Richards there with Clark now. Key ball-winning skills there. Jason Leonard builds as his profession should allow him to. This is Richards, took it well. thinks about the long feed, opts to drive as he knows best. Bracken again. Andrew. Rory Underwood come across from the left. Bracken again. Trying to make some real gain of ground. Andrew. Saint-André. Enveloped. Guscott. Tony Underwood there. And a scrummage here with Victor Ubogu out of play for the moment, receiving attention from Kevin Murphy, which will disrupt the England scrummage, and Brian Moore needs attention too for a bang on the nose and some blood. There's Ubogu.
Well, every picture tells a story, and been very impressed with England's ball retention there, 19 times to 3. That it also shows that England have won most of the primary set-piece possession, but there, I think they won 7 loose balls on the trot there, and eventually that your defences will crumble, and it'll be a matter of time. If England carry on winning the amount of ball and retaining it like that, then they'll end up winning this game.
France have so far had to play these first 15 minutes practically entirely in their own half. They have the scrummage cooking now. So Guy Acostaberry, first time against England, and new to the championship.
Certainly the French scrum looking under a little bit of pressure there, that Victor Ubogu certainly got Benešek in a certain amount of trouble on the loose end here.
Acostaberry, J-Lo, Lacroix with the big boot. Cross comes Cat. Oh, it's a fine clearance. One has to bear in mind just a little that for England advancing on that left flank and looking right, the sun is low over the west stand. May make life a little difficult for them. But what a fine clearance kick that was from Thierry Lacroix. Ben Clark, Dean Richards, Tim Rodber. Back row that's done so well for England on key occasions, like against New Zealand in '93, Wales last year, South Africa the first test in the summer. But round comes Benešek to tidy up ball for France. Powerful drive, and brokering off effectively and taking on the backs now. It's hardly fair game, but it's gone loose, and Ubogu's made something of it. That's a good recovery to feed now. Bracken, Andrew, inside via Clark. Bracken again, eluding but not eventually eluding Benešek. It's a penalty against Jason Leonard for being in front, obstructing whilst in an offside position. A penalty to France, and now they have the chance to open the scoring after 17 minutes.
Well, that's the first bit of ball that the French have won from the line out, and they set up the maul, but good recovery by England. And it'll be quite interesting to see how Thierry Lacroix gets on with this penalty kick at goal, because he's actually got the same goal-kicking coach as Rob Andrew has.
Yes, Stable with his been a key influence on place-kicking skills for Rob Andrew, and such was the effect on Andrew that France deemed it sensible to bring the advisor on place-kicking over to their key man, Thierry Lacroix, who's kicked over 200 points for France. So about 40 metres out. Really no wind to worry about. This to take the lead. Is it straight enough? Yes. France lead. 18 minutes played. Thierry Lacroix, and what will be very much a settling influence on the French team, who've been really up against it in this opening phase, and against the run of play, really, that score. From the restart, Bruma. Clark is not offside. Moore into the 22, a quick riposte by England, set up by Ben Clark. Bracken, Andrew, Carling inside, Underwood, doesn't hold it. Back goes Carling, Seller is up there, his old adversary, but France are offside in front of the post.
Yeah, the French blatantly offside there, right in front of the post, and this will give Rob Andrew an easy chance to tie the scores at 3-3. But it's amazing how many sides at international level, as soon as they take a lead, they immediately concede the lead that they've just taken.
Not wasting any time. 3-3. 19 minutes, and England coming back. Psychologically important that they did so very quickly, and that was an effective answer to the first French score.
It was a soft score as well, because really it wasn't a great kick-off by Rob Andrew, that France had all the time in the world to take a nice restart, knock the ball on. England had a couple of tries, 3-3.
A man of unorthodox lifestyle, Christophe Delo with the restart. Now Obozu. Back via Clark, Bracken, Andrew sees his pass as wide. Check, that looked like a late tackle from Califano. Penalty it'll be from where the ball landed. So despite the good catch by Ruma, who's somewhat incensed by this, it was clearly stupidly late by Califano. Not dangerous because it wasn't that firm, but it really was some while after Andrew had booped the ball. There it is.
Well, I don't think Philippe Saint-André, the French skipper, will be very happy with the Califano's play there. It's absolutely stupid late tackle there. The ball had gone. He wasn't even in the camera shot.
So, just outside the French 10-metre line. It's a long way to the goalpost for Rob Andrew. He's got weight, but he's pulled it a long way left. So, a quarter of the match played. A penalty goal each it stands. Rob Andrew, who was out here at 9 o'clock this morning, just honing his skills, but not of an expected level from him, that effort. Quite a useful tactic this by France. The long restart kick deep into the England 22. An expectation of recovering possession. Even as it does, the kick goes to touch. France get the throw-in inside the England half.
But what they do quite cleverly is split the forwards on either side of the field, so that when the ball goes deep, they come up in a straight line to make it very hard to counter-attack against.
Possession-wise, it's been very much England's day so far, but it's even Stevens, 3 all in points, and that, after all, is what matters. France's throw. Ruma lingers at the front. Benazzi with him. Bruzet further back. In the middle there, but England tap back rather loosely. No fun for Bracken. Caban through. They've managed to secure it for England's scrum half. Dummies the feed, and I think he intended to dummy it. He left the ball behind. Andrew's kick, effective. Bernard Saal with the catch. France ball. Delo straight through to Lacroix. Oh, nicely played. Benetton. Linked by Caban. Delo with that touch of adventure that he loves. Benazes, rather Califano taking it on. Just outside the England 22. Lost in the tackle, it went forward.
Yeah, the ball went forward from Califano there, but it just shows how dangerous the French could be once they get a bit of set-piece, second-phase possession there, and that's what they did, and looked extremely dangerous with Delo orchestrating it. You see it here that Delo, dummy, outside, looks to pick up his back row inside. You see them coming here to the prop forward, driving on, and this is where the ball just goes loose there, and the referee quite right to give a scrum. It looks as though Benazes, the loose head's in a certain amount of trouble for France, and coming off the field.
Laurent Benazes, whose first cap was against England last year, took over from Louis Amery, who's sensed the way he's hanging his arm that he's damaged the shoulder. So Laurent Seigne will come on. Laurent Seigne, for his 14th international, played against England here 2 years ago. So no poor replacement he. England scrummage just outside the 22. France to revamp the front row.
Yes, they've moved Califano, the tight head, onto the loose side, and Stein's gone onto the tight head side of the scrum.
So France temporarily disrupted. Between heel, Andrew. Secure, unruffled. Just the hair blowing in the gentle breeze. France to throw. Through Jean-Michel Gonzalez, down from the deep southwest in Bayonne. And the most experienced of the French front row trio by far. This is 21st cap. Work from Caban, via Crossaberry, not straight enough.
You can see the sort of perplexed look on the French players when they have a line-up for not being straight. Because in France, they would just let that go, the local referees.
Perhaps not fully conversant with the broad border accent of Ken McCartney. Bracken himself stubbornly waits. Tony Underwood challenges. Timed it well too. England quickly back. Now then, Johnson, Rodber over the 22. France looking dire straits in defence. If England can use it fast, they have it. And chances here. Tony Underwood, tackled by Delo, Caban up there in support. France have regrouped well, but the forwards looking a little lumbering at the moment. And England take them on again. Referee playing advantage. Andrew. No advantage comes, but there's offside already called by referee McCartney.
Yeah, the referee again playing good advantage, giving England a chance there, but slight overcomplication by the English backs there, that they had about a 4-2 overlap, and I'm certain that when they look back and they use quick hands, then Rory Underwood would have been in the corner.
The backs coach Les Cusworth, who was quietly but not overconfident in advance of the game, now sits back to watch Rob Andrew. There's a chance of England taking the lead for the first time after 26 minutes. From the 22, wide out. The roar says it all. 6-3. A brief smile on the face for Rob Andrew as he gives England the lead. His 55th successful penalty goal for England.
The thing that's impressed me with England has been the ball retention and the ball handling skills, certainly at the back row, and the Martin Johnson there and Bayfield, that they're the ones who are driving at the French midfield, and really it's the backs who should be using the ball a bit more clinically.
J-Lo. Bayfield, all 6 feet 10 of them. Bracken, Andrew from the 22. Good, straightforward, no-nonsense defence. French side in which only Sella has been on the winning team against England. That's a psychological hurdle for the rest. Califano trying to drive it round the back. It's all very lateral. England could capitalise on this. They do. Bracken held by Benassi. Now Jason Leonard. Rodber. Great driving run by Rodber. Set up well, perfectly. Andrew now. Back goes Saint-André, with him Benetton. Now Saint-André the captain. That was truly done. He'll have to clear a long way. He doesn't make it. Rodber. The roar of the crowd as Rodber goes for the line. Carling upended. Here's pressure.
And here we see Tim Robber, who's been absolutely outstanding for England today. But good cover there that the ball was slightly telegraphed and Oliver Roumare was able to get Will Carling into touch. But great pressure by England.
And France pinned down in that corner once again. England leading 6 points to 3. Coming up to 29 minutes played of the first half. Roumare with a good deflection at the front. Cottabelli, though, forced to take it in. Now extricates himself. Sadoni.
What impressed me about England in the first two games so far is the amount of turnover ball that they get, that when the opposition have it, that the big back row, physically strong men are able to retain possession and get possession for England.
Yes, getting back ball that one would think France would have retained. Rouzet gets the tap down. Roumare drives. Cottabelli. Delo to clear. That's a good line kick. Christophe, Delo. And one of the problems for France in recent seasons has been the fact that they've never really found a settled pair of halfbacks since the days of coach Pierre Berbizier. They've had a different pair of halfbacks against England every year for the last 6 years. Even Stevens on the line out. But England effectively driving it round and taking men out and winning a penalty.
Whilst the statistics look as though it's 50-50, it's the quality of the ball that's the important thing. And certainly England's ball is so much better, and they're able to set off those driving mauls there, which the French are always scratching around for possession.
Rather like a boxer being on the end of body punches. This, I'm sure, will be getting to the French pack. Already some of them looking a little sluggish around the field. Maybe that's wishful thinking. Tony Underwood with Smurf in attendance. Kevin Murphy, ever faithful England physio. England back to the 22. Martin Johnson, 6'7". Martin Bayfield, 6'10". The target for Brian Moore. Johnson, great two-handed catch. Then the backup of the rest of the pack. And the referee warning the French backs not to encroach offside, as they have been wont to do. England still controlling affairs up front. It's there with Dean Richards. Richards, and a drive, 5 metres from the French line. The French pack recoil. Still, this is where the power goes in. All those hours in the fitness room, and the breakthrough to the line. England held up with Rodber there in the van. It's still right on the French line. It could yet be England possession again. Ubogu to Bracken. This time they spin it. Rob Andrews sees her half gap. It goes to Ben Clark. Looks for support. Still on the French line. Bracken again. Overlap here. Guscott. Cleverly done. They bought that lightning dummy. And there's delight for Jerry Guscott. His last try was against Scotland in '93. That's his 17th in all, to add to the try scored against France in 1990. And it was a moment of brilliance.
Yeah, Rob Andrews, a crucial man here, pass inside to Ben Clark. And look how many French midfield backs he commits. There's a standoff in there, they're all in there. And as the ball comes out, Jerry Guscott under the post. That's a dear moment for him. He's been waiting a long time for that try, and that's one for him to savour.
Ben Clark with a worrying moment as he receives attention for that shin or ankle, but a key man in the setup to that score, to delight the crowd, to delight Jerry Guscott. And even Selah couldn't cope with this one. He checks, but he can do nothing about that. It's pace off the blocks that counts, and a great field for it. Rob Andrew, and 2 more points for the conversion, as England stretched to a 10-point lead after 34 minutes of this first half. And the flags of St George waved high. But meanwhile, Ben Clark is off for more attention. So Steve Ajomo will be stripping off in anticipation, but it may be only temporary first aid that's needed. Johnson couldn't hold. France now with the challenge. Delo, Selah. Saint-André had come across the support. Wasn't quite close enough. He needed someone on his elbow, Selah, then. As he turned on the pace, he really has rejuvenated his game for a player 33 in 10 days' time. Desperate to stay in the fray, and the strapping may do the trick. Jomo waits in the wings. France anxious to take advantage of short-handed England. Carlitis glances anxiously across to the touchline. 5 minutes from half-time, and France a rare visit to England's 22. Sasseberry of Bègle. Sasseberry, the chemist, needs a magic potion now for France. I want to get a score before half-time to restore morale. Clark's ready to come back. So England have weathered that particular storm.
Yeah, a lot of question marks about the English back row, but they keep answering them. There's no substitute for a good big one.
They've got 3 of those. Akosaberi, Delo, Thierry Lecroix. How few have been the chances France have been able to run at England. Sadoni enveloped. But they've got possession now. Delo, but there's only 2 outside him. No one within sight of chasing that. Katz with all the time he needs. A huge kick down the line. And the ball was kind too. Kicks into touch. And that's the sort of moment that must be very demoralising for the defensive side.
Absolutely, and we see an injury there to Jean-Luc Sadoni, the French fullback, but good play there by Katz, that he realised that Sadoni obviously was injured. There was acres of space there, and we can see that's a pretty horrific looking wound there to his knee, and that'll certainly require a lot of treatment.
It's a very nasty gash, and immediately real medical attention comes on board for the most unfortunate cuts. And that's a cruel blow to one of the most exciting players. Referee McCartney comes across. And it's really an awful gash and a very cruel blow to Sadoni, last thing anyone would have wished. And in real pain, he grimaces as he comes on. And on goes Sébastien Viard, another paceman. Need one ask, they all are. Sébastien Viard of Brive scored a try against England back in '92. Last caps against Canada last June. Balaklos Sadorni and his departure, a big blow for France, one of the key counter-attacking talents. Well, the Frenchmen seem to stay airborne for quite a long time in that line-out. A minute and a half of this first period to go. French possession, Delo. Up comes Cat. Takes the tackle. Carling in support behind Underwood. Seller in the thick of it, of course. Great defensive three-quarter. And Parkle too, wrestling with Carling for the ball. Bracken to Andrew. Still in play. Not now, though.
Good morning technique there by Will Carling, because it certainly looked at one stage as though that France were going to win that ball, but he did extremely well to just stay on his feet and give his forwards a little bit of time to get there.
England lead. A try by Jeremy Guscott, 2 penalties and a conversion by Rob Andrews to Lacroix's penalty. 13-3. We're in the last minute of normal time in this first half. Akosaberi, Delo, Thierry Lacroix, Benetton with him. Benetton with the setup, makes it available well. Akosaberi likes to run. Oh, that's a good run, but the homing in pincer tackle of Guscott and Bracken was sufficient in the end. And Akosaberi took a knock in the process, but was back on his feet. Perhaps held on that shade too long. Having drawn them, he might have shifted on.
Yeah, but having said that, it was good play by Jerry Guscott, because what he did, he forced him down that alley. He forced him down that line of attack. Whilst people might not appreciate it, it was tremendous work by Guscott.
To secure the scrummage, and now possession for England again. Andrew, again, safe as houses. .32 in a couple of weeks' time, and now winning his 63rd cap. His 11th time against France, and never playing better than in these last 12 months. So, kicking out of defence, and occasionally those little floated balls in attack. Halfway line. Throwing towards the sun. Akosaberi, Delo. Neat little push through. But down near the England 22, it matters not, because with 41 minutes played, it's a half-time whistle, and England basically in forward control, well worthy of their 10-point lead, Bill.
Absolutely, Nigel. It's the dominance of the forwards and the quality of the possession that's enabled them to dominate the game, because what they're doing, once they win the ball, they're then punching at the French midfield and then moving the ball out wide. But really, the quality of the possession, the driving mauls, and really France haven't played that badly. It's just that England haven't allowed them to play at all.
Thanks to Bill Beaumont and Nigel Starmer-Smith for the moment. We're watching it also in the company of Paul Hull and Mickey Skinner. And Paul, a tense first half, but a satisfying half-time scoreline from the England point of view.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be pleased with that performance, because they stuck to the game plan. And there were times when Rob or Kieran could have kicked the ball aimlessly down the pitch, but they've stuck with the game plan. I think there was one passage of play, was 9 or 10 phases of ruck ball. So, and then obviously the lovely try by Jerry at the end, so it was great.
And Mickey, a lot of patience about the England play.
Yeah, it is. I think at the minute, obviously Jerry looks very pleased with how the first half has gone. He scored an outstanding try, but you must admit that it actually came from an outstanding amount of pressure from the forwards. You know, we had everybody in there. We had 5, 6, 7, the back row. You know, if Rob Andrews could have got in there, he would as well. But he has to stay out there, because a chance will come somewhere. And outstanding effort from the forwards. You know, it looks higgledy-piggledy, it looks like it's disorganised, but the ball will come eventually. You know, it'll come to a front row or a back row. You know, we will settle, but to take your chance is the most important thing. We actually did the right thing. We hit a ruck, a maul, and you know, Victor Abugo, as we mentioned earlier on, he's been everywhere. And that's the sort of thing that we need to do against the French. You know, we'll attack here, and one of the first people there will be Victor again. He's there, ripping the ball in the maul, and out it comes. You know, exactly on a plate for the goal, and Jerry goes over. You know, full credit for Jerry for the try, but you know, it comes from the forward to start with.
It was great forward pressure and superbly taken ultimately, Paul, by Jerry here.
Yeah, Catty as well makes the try for Jerry as well, because he comes screaming into the line, and the defence are going across, drifting to pick Catty up, and Jerry sees that, so he just shows the ball outside. You see there, they go to mark Catty, and there's space for him to go inside. And obviously Jerry, if he sees a line, if he sees a sniffer line, he'll take it. And he'll be pleased with that because he hasn't scored for a while.
And here's another version, Mickey, which I think emphasises the sort of pace off the blocks of Jerry.
Yeah, I think it is vision, and we have been opening up chances. We've been creating chances, but we need to finish. You know, we spent 20, 25 minutes looking for this. You know, Jerry made it, he scored it, and the forwards ran back to halfway, looking forward to the next bit of contact. Now, you need to give the forwards scraps, because that's what they live on.
But you got the feeling that for 20 minutes or so, England knew that was coming with the forward pressure they were exerting.
Yeah, but I also got the feeling that we need to score. You know, it was a long, drawn-out first half where we didn't quite score. You know, chasing a chicken is all well and good, but
the wildlife is in evidence, but it's a good scoreline at half-time here. From the England point of view, they lead France by 13 points to 3. When the chicken is cleared away, we're set for the second half of this Save and Prosper International. Bill Bowman and Nigel Starmer-Smith.
Not a chicken, it's a cockerel. But the French cockerel has been caught, and so at the moment have the French 15. 13 points to 3, England's half-time lead. And I think an expectation amongst the crowd here that there could well be more to come, but be warned, never relax against the French. And so, in perfect conditions, the final half. Delo restarts. And this secure band of 8 up front for England has really set their mark on the game. Referee McCartney saying the ball must be released. It comes back in time. Bracken dropping it on the halfway. Clark foraging up there with Tony Underwood. But France have buried the man and the ball, and so have been penalised. Slightly bemused Philippe Saint-André, but then there wasn't too much French forthcoming from Ken McCartney.
No, I think it lost something in the translation there.
And so the line-out is just outside the French 22, and England advance. Delightful character, Philippe Saint-André, runs an Irish pub in Clermont-Ferrand and gets stout on tap. This is his 41st appearance. At the front, Martin Johnson for England, now Moore. Bracken, though, needed to whip it away instantly as the French pack forage and come through, but fail to achieve initial possession. They have the put into the scrum, though. Olivier Roumain.
Yes, I would think Kieran Bracken was delighted to get that man and ball there from Brian Moore.
Scrum half's nightmare from Makosa-Berry. Delo. Bit of room now. Lacroix. Viard in the line, and now Bernard Saal has pace, but the tackling was tremendous from Carling. But there, quickly in support, is Caban. He's a man who can turn a game, but it's not released after the tackle.
And again, as I mentioned earlier, that the support player of England getting there quickly and robbing the French of possession. Normally you would have put your money on Laurent Caban retaining possession there, but the England backs winning there. You see it here, going outside, the ball comes loose. Caban's the next man to pick it up, but England, 3 Englishmen there, rob him of the ball and get the penalty.
It's that extra facet of their play which is giving them the advantage at every turn.
Yeah, 7 penalties towards England. That's normally a sign that slight frustration at set pieces, that England are winning most of them.
Zabogu ducks the tackle of Caban. But it's for once French ball against the odds. Bennett on the link. Delo straight to Lacroix. Mike Catt, awkward bounce. Stayed in play. In fact not. The top judge has the flag up on the far side. Jim Fleming. And that was a marvellous kick on the retreat and turn by Mike Katz. Fast fly half, England's fullback.
You see Stella waiting for the ball, foot on the line. We call that a foul up north, I think.
On the line is in touch. Halfway line, more to throw. The France tap. Long pass by Professor Berry. Delu knew he'd got Ben Clark breathing down his throat. Taps it over his head as only the French would do. Well, they deserve some reward for that sleight of hand and adventure. And they make touch just outside the England 22. It's a big man to have leaning on you, Ben Clark, at 6'5" and 17 stone, and Delo didn't like the prospect.
No, don't blame him. That's only when a weak forward thinks he's won the lottery, when he's got a stand-off stationary waiting for a high ball coming to him.
So England to throw. Johnson 2. Bayfield the middle. Richards actually took possession. Andrew for touch. Screws it safely. .63 caps to his name. The previous most capped fly half, W.J.A. Davies, just 22. Gonzalez. 5 minutes into the second half. Rodber penalised, coming through the line out. French have a penalty just inside the England half. Perhaps we'll see it here.
England penalised there. I think it's against Tim Rodber for going through the line-out, but when the ball's as crooked as that, you've got to go that direction. But a little bit unlucky there, Rodber, but he's been absolutely outstanding for England this afternoon. Big physical man, making big tackles, big hits.
He'll be carrying on where he left off in Dublin. The youngest of the England pack. 25-year-old Army Lieutenant Tim Rodber goes back to face the kick of Sébastien Viard. Well, he's already accustomed to kicking penalty goals for France in his 12 internationals, 105 points, 17 penalty goals. And his last game against England, try a conversion and a penalty 3 years ago. This to stay in the hunt, really. 13-3 down, France. Viard approaches. It's straight enough, but short. Rob Andrew claims it. And clears it with the help of Akossadari. Again, the moment that's demoralising for a pack of French forwards who have to lumber their way back to receive an England throw-in. There's Benassi, Rouma. Benetton. Attacked by Rodber. The charge by Obogu. Trying to slip it to Richards. It comes anyway to Bracken. From Clark to Johnson. There for Bracken. Well, almost. Rouma wrestling with him, but England have repossessed. France anticipating that drive off the fringe, but England still there and still edging forward, setting it back to Bracken. Richards. Dummy wasn't bought, but he just stood there solid. Carling. Fast off the mark. England again. Clark with a dummy. They're all in the act. Now Rodber. And England drive up the middle. Referee McCartney waves the French backs back onside. England head for the post. Bracken. Clark. Good tackle by Caban, but a penalty with France, in fact, yet again in front of the post, and 3 points now in sight for England.
Again, it's the pressure of the England forwards. Marvellous mauling technique there. You can see them here. They get the ball to the back of the maul. There's Martin Johnson there, making the ball available. As it comes out, again, you see Ben Clark there. he makes the ball available. Dean Richard, but the referee had already penalised France under the post.
8 points already. Head on to the post, shouldn't be a problem. It's off the post. Caban. Nothing certain in this game. Akosaberi, Delo. France is dangerous as ever in this situation. Delo. Benazzi. French desperate for something to uplift them. 10 points adrift. They'll try and use any ball to attack with, even deep in their 22. You only have to think back to the try of the century scored by Philippe Saint-André 4 years ago. That set this stadium alight.
Again, impressed by the physical strength of the England players there, that normally you'd expect Benazzi to have won that more easily, but England managed to get hands on the ball and stopping France winning it.
Safe ball, Delo, adventure creeping into the game now. Lacroix from Salah, oh, that's nice sleight of hand, no one there to pick it up. Eventually Grouzet does. England are there by that time on the French 22, but still the options of running taken by France. Rodber across, slipping it cleverly to Bernard Saal. His enormous pace, it rebounds off Cat's hand. Bernard Saal to sprint for the line, feeds inside to Akosaberi. Caban now, this is French brilliance. Sebastien Viard is unchallenged, and that's so typically French. Never count them out. Sebastien Viard with the most wonderful score, which all started from the French 22. That's the way it can happen with the French, and that was simply superb. The replacement Viard with the try that keeps France very much in the hunt. Never count them out.
And this is the crucial bit. Is this a forward pass? Marginal there, but Bernard Saal, he chips the ball over Cat, retains possession, comes inside. But the crucial bit of play by Laurent Caban here. Gets the ball, he waits, and out it goes to Sebastien Viard. And once he's got the overlap, there's no stopping it. But great play by the French, great awareness there of keeping the ball available and keeping the game fluid.
And again, pace in every quarter. And the anticipation that comes with their counter-attack skills. They know when it's on, and they support, and they have the pace to get there and be in support, as was Caban at that crucial moment. It's 13-8. Viard. Lacroix, rather, the goal kicker, Pierre Lacroix. And it's 13 points to 10 and a wonderful kick, but this was a great try.
Good awareness here, keeping the ball available, but the Caban there, he's the one who made it available, made the ball, passed it out to the winger. Well, full-back, he goes in, no problem at all.
Immediately England come back with a penalty goal chance. The ball was knocked forward, the Frenchman took it, he was in an offside position. And so England can make it a 6-point buffer. 13-10 they lead. 12 minutes replayed of the second half. Will settle England again if he gets it. Huge cheers once more. 16-10, but still within a try and conversion are France. Not so large a comfort zone for England as when they led by 10. Rodber. with Jason Leonard. Bracken. So back to basics for England. Viard misjudged that. Akotoberi. Saint-André. With Richards in touch.
I know who to put my money on there in that little encounter between Saint-André, the French skipper, and Dean Richards anytime.
Yeah, I should think Saint-André was quite happy the ball went in touch and the confrontation was avoided. Ruma. Oh, it's a great catch by the man from Dax. Ruma, who was dropped after France lost to England last year. First one way, then the other.
Difference there in mauling technique, that when England take the ball in, they always win it. They keep the ball tight, they get the ball to the back of the maul, whereby France are going in 1s and 2s.
We're about 10 metres outside the England 22, 14 minutes into the second half. England leading 16 points to 10. Enthralling encounter. Tony Underwood chasing as Viard is upended. Ben Clark. Bracken. Andrew, not much room in which to operate. Clever option taken. Back goes Bernard Saal. Rory Underwood is with him. That's good ground made.
I think we'll see England here yet again, hopefully get good primary source possession, and I will think we'll see them driving it again towards the French line.
Great opportunity here. A clean ball, and perhaps the midfield set up and the second phase. Try and buy more. Bayfield first, but it lands with Richards, drops it over his head to make it available to the rest of the pack. About 8 metres out. One of the French players has lost a boot. With Rodba, has made tremendous ground. Within 5 metres now. The pick up by Caban, who's not sure which way to turn. Looks to run it from behind his own goal line, which is perilous to put it mildly. France dive in on top of him and concede the penalty. The pressure again that tells, and the part played by Rodba immense.
Yes, France were lucky there in the first place because Lacroix kicked the ball back, and really Caban not the greatest place to counter-attack, and there's 3 French players over the top, and no hesitation by Ken McCartney to give the penalty.
Well, Laurent Caban reflecting, I'm sure, on the wish that he might have just kicked it to touch. He had time to do so. This is a remarkable man who has come back to the forefront of world rugby after the most appalling car crash in 1990 that put him in a wheelchair for a year. What a lesson for us all. Rob Andrew, though, can now make it a 9-point lead for England. That's superb. 19 points to 10, 17 and a half minutes played in the second half. Akotoberi in trouble. The young French scrum half. Young in experience, that is. It's only his 5th cap. Obviously took a bang at close quarters. Alan Makabiao stands by. Played against Scotland last year and Canada. His 2 appearances. Referee Ken McCartney courteously checked that he's fit to continue. It's been a difficult afternoon behind the losing pack, but then it always is.
That's right, but I would think he would have been far happier to swap positions for the last hour with Kieran Bracken, because Bracken been in the armchair getting good ball, whereby Akaberi, he's been living off scraps most of the game.
1910. That gives England quite a nice buffer. Again, the close quarter work, and doesn't single out always the unseen effort. But look at Leonard there and Abogu. Now Johnson and Bayfield together. Richards, Abogu, the whole eight. And that's the gain line breached again. Bracken almost intercepted by Delo. My goodness, tantalisingly close. Carling recovers. Tony Underwood, the halfway line. Bracken, Andrew, off the left foot, behind Bernard Saal. Slips the tackle of Rory Underwood, but not that of Guscott. Bernard Saal, the power rocket they call him, but no room to fire off that time.
And here we see the Kernbacher and Christian Delo there that juggles with the ball, unfortunately can't take it, but then England take advantage and counter-attack with Benham.
10 metres outside the French keeper. Brian Moore, 33 years young. Then Bruze, youngest man on the field at 22. Delo, Benetton, dipped below the outstretched arm, threatened to take his head off. Rumal the link. Christophe Delo miscued that. Bracken an awkward ball. Not a knock-on. And Katz kicks deep. France hoping it'll cross the goal line. It does. Caban, well, I don't think he's learnt the lesson of playing unnecessarily dangerously behind your own line.
I would think his forwards would have been a trifle upset if he'd done another counter-attack from there.
1910, England lead. We're into the last quarter now of the match they've called Le Crunch. The two most favoured teams for the 1995 Five Nations Championship. And this, the Save and Prosper International at Twickenham, where England last lost to France back in 1987. And they've won the last 7 encounters, home and away. And England look set to win this, but 20 minutes, 19 now, still a fair passage of play to go. Delo, Sella, Carling in though, shadowing the whole time, and then in with the tackle. Knocked on. Imminent England ball, and a knock on the deck. Courteous play there by Saint-André to mention he actually pulled Brian Moore to his feet. So it's not all like war, and the courtesies remain. That's the first time the set piece has caved in. Used to blight so many games, the collapsed scrummage. A repeat. Jason Leonard, product of Warren Comprehensive School in Chadwell Heath, the self-employed builder joiner, who at 26 has already won 36 full international caps. Many more to come. Another straight feed into the scrum. England anxious to take it quickly. They do through Bracken. Support from Rodbert. Now Martin Johnson. The tackle by Benetton. Bracken sets the feed wide. Clark standing off for that charge. Takes out 2 of the French back division. On goes Richards. Back comes the ball. Lovely floated pass to Guscott. Guscott accelerates for the corner. Has to check. with the challenge of Villar, another man of pace. But it's there for Cat. Rob Andrew, Carling, lost it in the tackle. And finally, on the deck.
Again, you see the England tactic there, using big men coming back close to the set piece, punching at the French midfield, and then hopefully getting the overlap. But it was only a great tackle by Villar on Guscott that stopped another try.
And we've an England player behind that French pack, lying injured. And I think it's Carling. Yes, it is. Well, Guscott, I think people were putting odds on him getting to the corner here, but there was very good shadowing work by Villar, number 16 on the right, which forced him to come back inside.
So there you see good work again by Guscott, that as he went down, made the ball available. As it came out, back inside yet again. And then this is where Will Carling picked up his injury. There's been a lot of talk about Will Carling. Had lost his appetite for international rugby, where he could have fooled me, could have been quite outstanding for England in Dublin and also this afternoon.
Absolutely. So the long floated ball to Andrew. Here's the charge which led to the Carling injury. But he's totally unfazed by taking on big men in 2s and 3s and taking them out. Clever little chip, meanwhile, from Cossaberry.
But France having to do all their attacking from 70, 80 yards out, whereby you see England dominating the game territorial, winning all the set-piece possessions, and France having to live off scraps.
Yes, crumbs only from the England table coming France's way. Shortened line for England. Well, it reached Richards, but Benetton actually won it off him. Delot, cleverly placed. Throws a bit hot and cold, Christophe Delot, but to have seen him in the French Championship final, which his club Toulouse won, you'll respect the skills the man has, and it's hard to judge halfbacks behind a pack that's being outgunned. And that tells you really the essence of the game.
51 to 22, it just shows how England have dominated this game.
Through goes Gonzalez. Offside England. It's Abogu interfering. He was clearly offside, and a France penalty. We've quarter of an hour to play. England leading 19 points to 10. And Lacroix ambles across to try to pull back, and again a significant kick. A gap of 9 points could become a gap only of 6, and that would keep France hopes alive. A converted try would be their target. So a lot hangs on this kick for Thierry Lacroix. Not easy. It's about 40 yards out. Thierry Lacroix, the best physio. It's well struck, but it's left of the post. Sighs of relief all round in the England camp. It stays 19-10 and 13 minutes to go. Bayfield waits. Northampton policeman. Good catch by Olivier Brouzet, the man who took over from Mel. The great prospect at 22, but how well run back it was. Moore on the charge, but Rory Underwood tripping over himself, really. Throws the ball away in disgust.
No, Tim Robber, he's the man that you should look for. Number 6 here. He comes round the side, and when things are going for you, they are. And allowing Brian Moore to a counter-attack.
Wrong hand by Ben Clark, and in fact off the shoulder, really. I think was the reason for the penalty. Ben Clark penalised. No kick at goal this time. Delot for touch, and the throw-in to follow for France. That was the penalty infringement. Two men, Benazzi at the back, Rumar at the front for Gonzalez to aim at. 19-10, 9-point England lead. Benazzi did well. 15 metres out. France with the setup. Delot, Lacroix, Caban. Terrific feed. Tony Underwood almost escaped. A knock-on is the first offence. Tempers fray just a little at close quarters. Well, Tony Underwood would have loved to have got away from here and shown them all a clean pair of heels. A lovely effort by Caban to get the quick feed through that would have set up a French overlap. Stolen Kieran Bratton, the Dublin-born, nursed by this experienced England pack. 23, 6th game. England's lead on a par with that against Ireland. 20 points to 8 then. It's 19-10 now. And another majestic England 8 performance.
Belatedly, you see the French now cutting down the line out, that it's the second two-man that they've had, and the prime man here is Benazzi at the back. He's the one who normally wins the ball.
Marked by Rodber. Benazzi taps down, but eventually comes back France's way. Gonzalez. Delot. Salah. Caban the link. Lacroix to Guillard, then Arsal, Saint-André across, and they went forward. A bit of wrestling for the ball after the whistle's gone. With Katz and number 8, Philippe Benetton.
And again, good defensive work there by England. It might have looked pretty from the French, but really, they didn't gain a lot of ground there, and there were 2 or 3 men covering when Bernard Salah got the ball.
So always sensing and defence had them in their sights. Still deep within the England 22. That's 15 metres out. England's put in. With form again. Scrummage collapses, and it's France who've been penalised for dropping it down. Quick breather for the England pack as Andrew goes for touch.
It's watching England play that they're playing a far more adventurous style of play this year, that they're using the back row forwards to punch holes in midfield. But then when the game just needs settling down, Rob Andrew can always put the ball to touch, and the confidence that you see Jack Rowley, the England team manager and coach, he must be a happy man at the moment, that Andrew's always confident that his big forwards are in a winning ball again.
They've been doing the basics well. Huge leap by Bayfield. When he does stretch his 6 feet 10, it's about 9-10 feet. Useful kick, dropping on Bernard Saal. Good catch, but good follow-up by Rory Underwood, who turned him. That's the key. Bracken, Andrew. One for Tony Underwood to chase against Saint-André. Tony Underwood, Saint-André, it's still loose. And the try is given. I think Saint-André is claiming he's held by the shirt. but the ball initially seemed to beat them both, and Tony Underwood, racing through, gets his 7th try, and his first against France.
Well, it was touch and go whether Tony Underwood was actually offside when Rob Andrew kicked this ball. As he goes back, you see that Sant-André more intent on stopping Underwood, so he misses it completely. And the referee is quite right to give the try. Without a doubt, the referee was on the spot, and Sant-André made no real effort to ground the ball. He was looking to impede Underwood, and quite right to give the try.
Just short of the dead ball line. 24 points to 10. And Rob Andrew now from wide out. Well, that could be the killer blow. Well, there was a bit of a, tugging by both parties, really, but no doubt about the fair downward pressure on the ball before it went out of play. The one question perhaps remaining was whether or not Underwood was marginally in front of Andrew when he kicked to start with. The crowd are happy. The English element anyway. 60,000 here, and it's been a sun-drenched spring-like afternoon. 24-10, England set to record an 8th win in a row against France. We've only 5.5 minutes to go. Delo angled towards the corner, and I noticed Sella just saying to the inexperienced fly half, use the ball, keep it in the hands, use me, feed it. And he's displeased.
And quite right, really, that Delo, that there was nothing sort of kick. Sella realised that England are probably going to win the line-out ball, whereby France now, they've got to throw caution to the wind and keep the ball in their hands.
Less than 5 to go. England comfortably lead. Clear by 14 points. 24-10. No excessive ambition from Andrew, just the necessary safe touch, and a throw in to follow. Abdelatif Benazzi, Moroccan-born, 4th time against England, and yet to experience a win. Only Sella of this French 15 or 17 as it now is has been on the winning side. Delo long passes it that time. Lacroix, Sant-André, Viaz across to the left, just short of the England 22. And England once again have turned it over. Heaven knows how they do it, but it's graft and effort, and the clearance by Carling to follow.
Great relieving kick by Will Carling, but again we see that England pinching the ball in the tackle of the French. This must have happened half a dozen occasions when France have been looking dangerous. You think they're going to win the ball, but I think it's the upper body strength of the England players that wins them that ball, and good technique.
Murray looks on as France through Gonzalez throw on the halfway line. Rouma, Akasabari, Delo, Lacroix, Via. But again, it's England who've turned it over, repossessed. Tony Underwood rebounds off Benazzi. Carling's there to cover. Good effort by Benazzi, but on his own. Bracken's clearance kick is long, high, beyond Rouma. Heading for touch. Oh, what a kick. Rolling out inside the French 22. Rouma just slaps his thigh in disbelief. Andrew back on his feet. Not yet. They just have been winded. Well, this was some kick coming up. Andrew in an awkward position.
But Tim Rodburn, Dean Richards at the bottom of that ruck, winning the ball for England. And when Bracken gets it, 50, 60 yards down the field, thank you very much.
to that position within the French 22. 2 minutes remain. Benassi has always been a valuable line-out operator, wins possession. Delo not sure which option to take, wants to keep it in play. Cat waits, takes, goes. Delo's tackle. England unrelenting in their effort, and they're in number. Rudber, what a game he's had. But it's not been released, and France have a penalty. Acosta-Berry, Delo, on goes Sen. Reasonable ball for once. Delo, someone's got to inject the pace. Benassi now, Diar, Bernard Salle. With England cover assiduously. Away by Acosta-Berry though, Delo. Cat saw that one coming. He's in his 22. Will do nothing other than the sensible and secure. Mike Cat, the 23-year-old, who's followed a long string of recent England fullbacks, Hales, Hunter, Callard, Hull, but has really adapted very well to an unaccustomed position, normally a club fly half or centre. In the last moments of normal time, England comfortably placed to go on to their ambitions of Grand Slam glory, secure in the knowledge now that they will have beaten France for the 8th time off the reel. Rudber couldn't turn back himself to make it available. The ball's not coming out. And France is becoming a bogey ground now for the visitors from across the water. Last win here was in 1987, in that great period of French dominance in the early and mid-80s, when they were unbeatable. Here's Bracken, Rudber the link, beautiful timing of a pass to Cat. Cat with Tony Underwood to race it in, to round it off. A brace of tries for Tony Underwood, and England's celebrations can go ahead full cry. What finishing, and what a beautifully executed score.
Well, it's the pace here of Mike Cat. Just look how quickly he comes into that ball. He comes from deep, he comes quickly inside to Tony Underwood. There's no stopping him there, but what a superb back row move there, instigated by the pace of Cat coming in from deep that gave Underwood the overlap.
All about the timing and then the finishing speed. Brilliant running to round off a great England triumph. 29 points to 10, and this may be the last kick of the match. Rob Andrews' conversion attempt. That puts the icing on the cake. The crowd rise to an England triumph of great dimensions. 31 points to 10. 3 tries. And the French challenge has been beaten off in style.
In style indeed, Nigel. You see Tony Underwood there, but really this was a performance out the top drawer by England, because this French team, they're no mugs, that they play some good rugby, but really it's the dominance of the England forwards up front. They're good enough to play any kind of game, and that last try just really finished it off in style, because it was the back row winning good ball for them, Dean Richards securing good possession, and the backs using it really well. But this was one of the great England performances, and they will take some stopping.
And the key was, it didn't come in fits and starts. It was consistent and continuous. And I guess in the end, the scoreline worthy of the quality of the victory. With those 2 late Tony Underwood tries, his first in the championship to have a brace of tries in his first against France, and the crowd on their feet to applaud worthily a great England victory, a desperate disappointment to the French, who, like England, have had Grand Slam ambitions for sure this season. England now know, though, that the contest is far from over, with Wales and Cardiff in 2 weeks' time as France go home to lick their wounds and face Scotland. A French side, remember, that beat New Zealand twice in the series last summer, essentially the same 15 that we've seen today, and rounded off the day for England by Tony Underwood and Mike Catt. The pace of Catt, the timing of the pass, and then into the corner. And that really was the fairy tale ending for England that certainly the form of the whole team, the pack I suppose in particular, deserved. A great day at Twickenham for England.
Will, many congratulations. 8 in a row now. Are you a bit sore around the roots?
Just a little bit, yeah, but very happy. I mean, great finish just watching it there. I mean, that was a brilliant try, so I think it was a great game.
Off to a slow start, but that try by Jerry Guscott in the first half really set the pattern for the rest of the game, didn't it?
It was a slow start, but it was almost like chess, you know. They were vying, everyone, the two packs vying, trying to find a weakness. And as usual, our pack came out on top, and I was delighted about that.
Sustained pressure. We can watch the Jerry Guscott try here. Just talk us through it, because the forwards were doing a magnificent job.
They were. They kept driving it on, and we decided we had to take it close because they were putting defence out across the field very well. So Rob took it back there, Ben took it on. We tried to keep, you know, driving close to the fringes where we thought the weakness was. And eventually, I think the ball comes out here. Kieran gets a great pass away, and Jerry just sold a brilliant dummy, and it all opened up for him. You know, I think he was very relieved to score. It was great to see him score a try again, and a crucial one like that.
What about the second half? Slightly different pattern of play. You soaked up a lot of pressure. They actually called this match before Le Crunch, and there were a lot of crunching tackles out there, especially from you.
Oh, I don't know, on me, I think. But, yeah, it was very physical out there. I mean, second half we did soak up pressure, too much really for our liking. I think we went into cruise control. But, you know, it's a mark of a good side who can come out at the end and finish like that. And, you know, I thought we held our pattern well. They put a lot of pressure. I mean, they're quite a good side. And, you know, we held our form well and eventually came through very strongly.
What about the man next to you? Really finished off the match with a flourish?
Yeah, 2 great tries. And the last one, I thought Mike Catt held it up superbly for him. But he chose a great line and bit of pace and straight through.
Tony, coming to you, we've got the first try. We can show you that now.
I'd rather not see it, actually.
Let's have a look at it.
Well, I saw a lot of gas behind there. I didn't realise it was actually Philippe Andre, although I wouldn't have called for it. But played some ground on him, and then it was just a case of a straight head race. He just blocked right in my way, so I was just giving him a little, hello, you can't do a bit of that. And luckily he missed it on that bounce, and I fell on it. But to be honest, I was waiting for someone else to look for my little push, but thankfully he gave it to me.
A game of 2 different halves?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit indifferent, really. I mean, we started off very well for 20 minutes, put a lot of good passages together, culminating in Jerry's try, then really went to sleep a bit in the rest of the first half, and took our time getting going in the second half. It was a bit of a step start. Good to finish with those 2 scores, but we're disappointed to concede that try. We know the French are going to do that kind of thing, and disappointing, I think, that we let them score.
I spoke to you just after the Romania match. 2 tries there. Let's have a look at the second one here.
Yeah, well, no credit to Jacques Raul, but he did actually determine this move. But, I mean, Mike stood it up beautifully, and I was able to come on the ball well and just have enough pace to beat the fullback. And just put it under the post. Great feeling.
Sort of try, though, that a winger loves to score. A bit of freedom.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all the space was created for me inside. It was just a matter of timing onto the ball. Beautiful weighted pass, and I'll finish those off any time.
As I said, you scored 2 tries against Romania, but then you weren't terribly happy about the overall team performance. Much better this time?
Obviously, we're playing against a better side in the French, and it was good to come out with a win like that, but still a lot to work on. We'll be looking at the videos for the next couple of weeks.
Congratulations to you. Victor Obogi next to you. We were sitting up in the commentary box, and Mickey Skinner was saying you had an awesome game today.
Well, it was. I mean, I went out to prove a point today. The last 2 games I've played, I've been sort of fairly quiet, and today was the day to really go for it.
Now, you lost your opposite number some way through the match. Did that make a little bit of difference in terms of the front 5?
It didn't make any difference at all, because the French kept coming at us, and we were very tight and controlled, and we drove them back every single time, which was very, very good.
And you seem to relish in some of the freedom, some of the broken play as well.
Yeah, it's a long time since I've had a charge, and good to be back.
Great performance from everybody, Victor. Well done.
It was indeed. Thank you.
Now, Victor Obogu's performance and the England result has helped lift the mood here, in particular with Mickey Skinner. Don't know how you can sense that.
I thought it was about time that we broke into a bit of fun, actually. You know, I think beating France here at Twickenham.
It was, I mean, the result was justified by the England performance. It was that good.
It was, and I think we talked about the back row to start with. England had 2 back rows. In the front row, Jason, Brian Moore and Victor, absolutely outstanding. And the back row as well. We were there time and time again. Victor handled the ball in a maul twice on Jerry's try. Now, I'm sure Jerry will give him a little bit of an assist on that.
He was superb today,
it was
wasn't
absolutely brilliant. Really, really, very good. Very good second half. First half took its time. You know, they were feeling their way. I thought Rob was going to put up a few more high balls on the full-back, as that's how England play against France. And we just bided our time. In the second half, you know, we went from strength to strength.
Yeah. And Paul Hull, it might have surprised a few people to hear Tony Underwood saying that England still have plenty of things to work on. They'll go away and they'll look at the videos and so on. What sort of areas?
Well, I mean, that's what Jack will be doing for the next couple of weeks. They'll be having a squad session next weekend, and they will go over things. I mean, there were passages of play that they might not have been too pleased about, but I think that overall they'll be pleased with the whole team performance. But Jack's the type of guy who wants to, you know, really, you know, ground in the confidence in every department. And, you know, I think during the game, as Mickey mentioned up here, that we weren't having that much line-out balls. They might have to work on the line-out strategy a bit more. But I think he'll be pleased with the overall performance because it was an outstanding team performance.
And one try we haven't seen from that second half, we'll take a look at it now, the French try. Inventive and glorious to watch, but dubious origins, perhaps. Paul, was this a forward pass here?
Oh, you take your chances. I mean...
Not a good angle to see it from.
I don't think the ref was in a good position to see whether it was a forward pass, but I mean, that's French, you know, play for you. They run it from anywhere, and the thing is, they all, you know, adjust to whatever's happening in front of them. Because I mean, as you can see, the players on the right-hand side of the pitch, they suddenly get switched to the left, and there's people supporting.
And the contribution of Caban here was
he held
the
ball.
decisive element.
Bit of handling skills here, also unorthodox pass, but there you go. Started off the right-hand side of the pitch, and then scores in the left-hand corner.
Mickey, is this one of the videos that will be shown over and over again?
I think there's a lot to be said about the French counter-attack.
Forward pass, yes or no here? What do you think?
I think it was, you know, 50-50, and you've got to give the benefit of the doubt. If the referee isn't even in the picture, you know, he's not going to give a forward pass a hub, and you've got to give the benefit because people want to see running rugby. And this was one of the only chances that France really had a time to run, and, you know, they didn't make any mistakes. They put the balls in, okay, a bit unorthodox, but when it came to it, he had to finish it. And, you know, Hully's here, maybe Hully would have made that tackle. I don't know, what do you think, Paul?
Of course you would, wouldn't you? Another player, Mickey, I know you think had an outstanding game, Tim Rodber. We can hear from him right now because I think he's down with Paul Dickinson.
Tim, many congratulations. A lot of people were saying after the Ireland match that the back row couldn't match it in this one, but I think he did.
Yeah, I think once we found our way up front and we worked out how to beat them in the mauls, it sort of set the tone for the rest of the match. So we're very, very pleased.
Now, in terms of tactics, over the last week you've obviously had a lot of time to talk about the French team. Which areas of weakness were you looking for?
It's very simple. If you beat the French, you have to take them apart up front. And, you know, the first scrum we had a double shove, which we were very pleased with. And we worked them in the line out and in the loose, a lot of driving play. And really, if you can dominate there, then you'll win the game.
How much encouragement did that try by Jeremy Guscott give you at the end of the first half?
A lot, because the forwards worked very, very hard for about 5 minutes pounding the line. And it really was only a matter of time. But to get a try, that critical time was very important to us.
And of course that try by Jeremy, really, you set the platform for it. The forwards were truly terrific.
Well, that's it. You only beat France by a great performance up front five, back row, and I think we did that today.
Little time to settle down, perhaps, in the second half, but again, the forwards laid the platform for the success of the England team.
Yeah, I think this is the thing with the French. You give them an inch and they take it. It's as simple as that. They take it and score tries, which is what they did. But, you know, we composed ourselves, brought ourselves back into it and worked hard up front, created a couple of beauties at the end.
Well, the lights really went out on the French team at the end of that second half because another try. Tony Underwood, again, it was the forwards that provided the ball.
Yeah, relentless pressure. I mean, that's what it's all about. And, you know, we're fortunate with a try with Tony running down with Santander. I don't quite know what happened there, but we're very pleased with the last one, back row move, which we've been training all since Lanzarote, and it finally came off, so we're very, very pleased.
Great performance, well done.
Thank you very much.
And one final point for Paul and Mickey. Paul, this is being regarded as the Five Nations decider. Do we now think of England in terms of Five Nations titles, Grand Slams?
Well, as I said before, Jack's not going to be the type of person to say, all right, let's go for the Grand Slam. He'll just take the next game, which is Wales away, and they'll just take one game as it comes. I mean, that's the fourth game, I think, in the championship, or the fourth game in the campaign leading up to the World Cup, I should say. They've got 2 more to go, and they started off wanting to win all 6 before they go to the World Cup. So obviously that will be in the back of their minds, but they'll take Cardiff away from home. It's going to be a hard game. So once again, they'll be up for that game.
That's in a fortnight's time. Mickey, what's your verdict on England in Cardiff?
Well, I think the Welsh will perform as they normally perform against the English, in that they give 150%.
Yes.
I think they can't but sit back and look at England today, the Welsh. They'll look back and will say that performance against a great French side who beat the All Blacks but recently, you know, you can't deny, okay, it's at Twickenham, but had it been in Paris, would it have been that much more different? I'm sure it wouldn't have been. The combination between forwards and backs, the blend, the genre, as I said earlier on. You know, we're talking style, and if we play with that sort of style, it's Cardiff.
Good day. Good England performance. Thanks very much, Mickey. Thanks, Paul Hull, as well. We've got highlights from the day's other international, Scotland and Ireland, coming up in just a moment. Let's give you a quick look at the FA Carling Premiership as it stands at the moment. Early in the second half in